We're starting a new course tonight, and this course is entitled Successful Saints. There are several aspects to this notion of being a success, and especially when you put the saints part on it. We have all kinds of people who do workshops all around the world, all across the country, who claim to teach you how to be successful. But when we put the saints on the back, we wonder if that makes a difference, and I think it does. So this course is not just how to become a millionaire or how to, drive a Rolls Royce, but it's how to be successful as a saint and to see what success does when it's put in front of saints and what saints does when it's put behind success. The first part of this lesson course is entitled The 7 Habits of Successful Saints. And I have dealt with this in another place more deeply, if you will. And I trust that you will refer to that and get a chance to look at that at some other time. I don't want to spend this time looking at that, but I do want to help you fill in your notes so that at least you can fill in the blanks and get the gist of what I was trying to say. Just as it is with any particular endeavor, it is important to have the fundamentals, the basic principles of anything that you do. And what I'm suggesting here is that when you see a person who is a saint, a child of God, and a person who has success as a child of God, there are at least 7 characteristics that you will find following them, 7 habits that you will find in their lifestyle, things that they don't do sporadically, but things that they do regularly. So I'm going to run through these 7 real quickly, and then we're going to go right to this more broader understanding of successful saints. Number 1, a successful saint reads and studies the Bible regularly. Reads and studies the Bible regularly. Now, I make a distinction between reading the Bible and studying the Bible because reading the Bible is reading the Bible. You read the Bible for devotional, you read the Bible for information, you read the Bible for inspiration, you read the Bible for, I guess, even recreation for that matter, because there's some good stories in the Bible as well. But reading the Bible is different from studying the Bible. Studying the Bible is not just looking at the words and getting the meaning of a story. It's digging into it, finding the meaning of the words, finding the meaning of the context, finding the meaning of the book, finding the relationship of the books to other books. And initially, as people become Christians, it is a big hurdle to get them just to read the Bible. But as you become a full-grown and more mature disciple of Christ, you should get to the place where you don't just read it, but you begin to study it so that you can get a better understanding of it, which means that you should have as a regular part of your habit a reading time and a studying time. A reading time and a studying time. The daily bread that you read in the morning is reading the Bible. That's not studying it. That's what you read to kind of get yourself going in the morning. That's what you read while you're drinking your coffee. That's not studying. But by the same token, when you get to studying, that may be a separate time of your day or a separate time of your week where you've got the concordance on the table, you've got the dictionary on the table or on the laptop or on the desktop or whatever. My point is that when you do the study function, it's a different kind of mindset than when you do the reading function, and you should see those 2 things as 2 separate things that you should do on a regular basis. It does not mean you can't do one right after the other, but it does mean that you put on different glasses and a different hat when you're reading versus studying. So successful saints read and study the Bible. Secondly, successful saints or a successful saint prays daily. At least daily, every day. And here again, this is a habit that you should have built into your regular schedule. Just like you eat daily, just like you drink something daily, just like you go to the bathroom daily, just like a lot of things you do every day, and nobody has to tell you to do, nobody has to make you do. They're part of your habits. As a matter of fact, they become a need of your body. Your body will tell you. If you don't eat, your body will tell you, you haven't eaten, and it will remind you. And so praying daily ought to be something that becomes a regular part of our habits as a successful saint. Now, how long should you pray? I don't know. Pray until you get through. How often should you pray? I don't know. Pray without ceasing. But there should be some times in your day where you know every day that you're going to pray. Sometimes in your day, every day, when you know that you're going to pray. Okay? So make sure that you put that as a regular habit. And of course, as you do that, you develop not only the space and the practice of prayer, but you also begin to spend more time with God, and therefore, in the time that you spend, that you carve out with Him, He also has time to get to talk to you as well. So a successful saint reads and studies the Bible regularly, prays daily, and then attends church weekly. That's W-E-E-K-L-Y, not W-E-A-K-L-Y, because we have a lot of people who attend church very weekly. Their attendance is very weak. I mean, like, where have you been? But no, that's not the kind of weekly I'm talking about. I'm talking about at least once a week. And the reason why I say this is because there are a lot of people who want to maintain and want to foster the idea that you can be a Christian without being a part of the body of Christ. And technically, that is absolutely right. You can be a Christian without belonging to a church. You can be a Christian without having your name on the roll of a church. But the fact of the matter is that once you become a part of Jesus Christ, He wants you to become a part of His body. And as imperfect as His body may be, that imperfect body helps to build your body and builds your spirit when you spend time in it. And so what you need to do is find a church where you can attend regularly. You're not going to find a perfect pastor. You're not going to find a perfect people. You're not going to find a perfect place. You're not going to find a perfect program. None of that's going to be perfect. But it's going to be close enough for you to get in there and to begin to grow and develop. And of course, if it is not perfect, then maybe that's your call to go in there and to be perfect and to make it more perfect. Point is, go to church on a regular basis. I have a hard time finding people who are so deep in God that they can't deal with His people. So, successful saints attend church regularly. Then fourthly, successful saints gives, or a successful saint gives cheerfully. Not just as a matter of duty, not just as a matter of guilt, not just as a matter of fear, not just as a matter of a down payment on a blessing, but a successful saint gives cheerfully. When they bring their tithe, when they bring their offering, they do it with joy, they do it with excitement, they do it gladly, because they understand that the source of all of their gifts is God, and that they also understand that even as they bring these gifts that came from God back to God, these gifts are like seeds planted in God, and they begin to bear fruit, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold. And it is amazing what will happen to you, to your life, to your spirit, and even to your finances when you just change the attitude with which you give. I can imagine, and I know that there are many people who give, but they give begrudgingly. You know, you got to beg them, you got to drag it out of them, you got to hit them over the head, you got to make them feel guilty, you got to tell them they're going to go to hell if they don't get $3, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's ridiculous. You go to a church, I mean, all of us have been to those kind of churches, you know, where they had this table, you know, everybody up there, and they don't take the money in the back, they count the money on the table. And, you know, we got a number we're trying to get, we're trying to reach a number, If everybody in here just give me $3, that's all I need, $3. Everybody give me $3. And people run up there with their little $3. Somebody come there with $2.50. Somebody got $2.16. You know, so they get, and then after they get all the money on the table, you know what? We still short. We still need. Everybody give us a quarter. Just everybody, just one quarter. That's all we need. Who got a quarter? Don't nobody carry quarters no more. But my point is this. If we have to beg it out of you and drag it out of you and guilt it out of you, that's not the kind of spirit that we ought to have as mature Christians, and certainly as successful saints. So when we give, we know that we have become successful, at least to this degree, when we give, and we do so cheerfully as we bring our tithes and offerings. Number 5, a successful saint witnesses enthusiastically. In other words, they tell other people what the Lord has done for them enthusiastically. A witness is a person who can bear record of something that they have personally experienced. If there was an accident on the corner of Sunbury and Agler, which there was Sunday, not Sunbury, but down the street a little bit, and you were sitting inside the building, this building, with the shades drawn, and somebody came and asked you, did you see it? Well, you would have to say, no, I didn't see it. Well, as much as you would be interested in it, you would not be considered a witness because you don't have personal experience with the event. And a successful saint is a person who, number one, has a personal experience with God, a personal experience with Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, and they don't mind telling other people about what they know. Now, the thing about a witness is, if it's what happened to you, it's what happened to you. It may not have happened to you. It may never happen to you, but I can tell you what happened to me because it happened to me. And one of the things that got Jesus famous and got him killed was that he had many people who became witnesses. I mean, it's hard not to be a witness if you've been crippled for 38 years and all of a sudden a man just walks by and tells you to get up, and you get up and start walking. You're going to tell somebody about that. It's hard not to be a witness if you've been blind, as this one man was, and Jesus healed him, and he told him straightly, expressly, and specifically, do not tell anybody. Do not tell anybody. And the man turned around and went straight out. I mean, he didn't even wait until he got across the street. He turned right around because it's impossible for you to have these kinds of things that happen to you and for you not to want to tell somebody. But the key is to do it enthusiastically. I got the joy of Jesus way down in my heart. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be saved. Don't you want what I have? Probably not. Enthusiastically, witnesses enthusiastically. And then sixthly, a successful saint fellowships frequently. Now, when I talked about attending church regularly, I was primarily talking about for worship. But of course, we know that when you attend church, that's not all that happens there. But I made a point to add this sixth line here, fellowships frequently, because that is part of the bodybuilding process too. Part of the maturing process of saints and Christians is to fellowship with other saints. Fellowships with other saints and believers who have not grown as much as you so that you can help build them up. Fellowship and associate with saints who have grown far more than you so they can help you grow. Fellowship and associate with saints so that you can have a place without some liquor and without some, alcohol, without some drugs, without some things in the air and environment, so that you can have a clean, healthy, wholesome place to have fun. Becoming a Christian doesn't mean that you just snatch everything out of your life. But it does mean that you find things in your life and in your environment that can bring you fun, happiness, and joy without you compromising your Christian principles. And the best way to do that is to fellowship with other people who have those same kind of principles. And so a successful saint finds persons who have the same kinds of values, the same kind of faith, and fellowships with them. And as you fellowship with those people, then you begin to build yourself up and to become like them, they become like you, and hopefully together, both of you become like the Lord. And then number 7, a successful saint serves joyfully. Serves joyfully. I heard a young lady say something that was very interesting. If I called her name, you would know who she was. She's a flight attendant, and she was saying that she flies frequently internationally. She was flying to India, and on her way to India, she had this person in first class who it was clear to her was a very rich person and had servants and attendants back home. And so she was saying that it got so bad the way he was ordering her around that she finally had to tell him, I am here to serve you, but I am not your servant. And once we can finesse that, once we can get over the fact that you can serve somebody without being their servant, then I think people in the church will kick into what they've been called to do. God has not called us to be servants in the sense of slaves and, servile people like that. But he has called us to have the kind of attitude of trying to reach and to meet the needs that people have, to do it with care and to do it with love. And as we shall see in the next few minutes, service and serving is one of the key and critical distinctions that Jesus gives to us, commands he gives to us, requirements he gives to us that separate us from other people. And so as we serve joyfully. One of the things I love about this church, is that we have people in this church who have a tremendous serving spirit. And the reason I know that is because I know that from Monday to Saturday or Monday to Friday, some of these people have jobs where they have hundreds of people reporting to them doing what they say. I mean, I tell you to jump and they say how high. I mean, that's the kind of jobs that they have. And you would think that with somebody with a job like that, making the kind of income that some of these people have, that they would come into the church and expect that same kind of treatment when they got here. But for many of them, it's just the opposite. As opposed to them ordering people around, it's like, what can I do? You will see people like this sweeping the floor, picking up trash, greeting people as they come in the door. All of these kinds of things. That takes a serving spirit. You got to have a spirit of a servant in order to be able to do that, and not have an attitude that as you serve, you are losing some of your dignity or whatever, because of course, not only are you not losing your dignity, but you're putting on the dignity of Christ. So in a nutshell, these 7 habits of successful saints are things that we are encouraging all of our members, and something that we think all Christians ought to look at as basic principles and practices that they ought to have. These are, of course, not the only things that you can have, but if you read and study the Bible regularly, if you pray daily, if you attend church weekly, if you give cheerfully, if you witness enthusiastically, and if you fellowship frequently, along with serving joyfully, you will be a successful saint. Okay?